Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, she did a good job on Chris Cuomo on CNN last night. And I want to say, like, I think, like, she should take a week to chill. Like, everybody needs breaks at some time, and she's putting like she's getting an enormous amount done for us, and I just want to encourage everybody to, like, also take care of themselves. And I also think that, like, this is a segment where she nailed it, and I also see a lot of concern trolling of segments where maybe she didn't nail it quite
Let
as
her
much.
cook.
Let her cook. No one's a messiah. No one's perfect. If she says something that's genuinely substantively wrong, we can, respond in an appropriate but chill way.
But stop acting like it reflects upon the project as a whole.
Precisely. And also let this be a reminder to you that her win, her presence on the national stage, is a massively positive thing. This is AOC last night, Chris Cuomo and CNN.
The thing that we need to realize is people talk about the sticker shock of Medicare for all. They do not talk about the sticker shock of the cost of our existing system. In a Koch brothers funded study, if any study is going to try to be a little bit slanted, it would be one funded by the Koch brothers. It shows that Medicare for all is actually much cheaper than the current system that we pay right now. And let's not forget that the reason that the Supreme Court upheld the Affordable Care Act is because they ruled that each of these monthly payments that everyday Americans make is a tax. And so while it may not seem like we pay that tax on April 15th, we pay it every single month, or we do pay a tax season if we don't buy, these plans off of the exchange. So we're paying for this system. We Americans have the sticker shock of healthcare as it is. And what we're also not talking about is why aren't we incorporating the cost of all the funeral expenses of those who die because they can't afford access to healthcare? That is part of the cost of our system. Why don't we talk about the cost of reduced productivity because of people who need to go on disability, because of people who are not able to participate in our economy, because they're having issues like diabetes or they don't have access to the health care that they need. I think at the end of the day, we see that this is not a pipe dream. Every other developed nation in the world does this. Why can't America? And that is the question that we need to ask. We have done these things before. We write unlimited blank checks for war. We just wrote a $2 trillion check for that tax cut, the GOP tax cut, and nobody asked those folks how are they going to pay for it. So my question is, why is it that our pockets are only empty when it comes to education and health care for our kids? Why are our pockets only empty when we talk about 100% renewable energy that is going to save this planet and allow our children to thrive? We only have empty pockets when it comes to the morally right things to do. But when it comes to tax cuts for billionaires and when it comes to unlimited war, we seem to be able to invent that money very easily. And to me, it belies a lack of moral priorities that people have right now, especially the Republican Party.
She's 100% right. That's a perfect fusion of moral, ethical, strategic argumentation. No person in their right mind would dispute it. And the only thing I have to add to that is I love Chris Cuomo's mind-blown face.
Yeah,
I love his just like, fuck. Like, I asked her about the numbers, and she just was like, whoa, like fucking war and tax cuts. Like, I almost felt like Chris Cuomo, like a Crosby, Steele, Nash and Young song was starting to go off in his head, because he went from like mind-blown to kind of like, maybe this fucking chick is right. Like, maybe things are wrong, man. Like, maybe I remember my Jesuit education, and it's wrong to just fund bombing people across the world when we can't give people health care.
I'm trying to think of
his conscience might have been a bit.
He went into just read-only mode. Like,
Yep.
I'm trying to think of some sort of metaphor here, and the way he didn't say a single thing in that entire clip. It's like if you know how you're going in a jump rope, right? And you're trying to get the rhythm so you can jump in.
Yeah.
It was like he started to look for that, but the ropes just started going too fast.
It's
His
just too
eyes
fast.
just glazed over. That was an amazing tear to go on CNN.
It was beautiful.
Like, and he couldn't figure out how to get a word in.
Well, because there was no bullshit. Like, it wasn't a whole, and it was, by the way, it was no bullshit actually, because she started, and Brendan pointed this out this morning. You're totally right. She started from the moral foundation. If you go to that lower level plane and you do a pedant, and it isn't unimportant, but the cost is second order, to say the least. And if you go and you go, oh, well, actually we'll save money like this and blah, 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 you're off to the races in their game of pedantry and numbers and all of that. The foundation is, it's an absolute moral necessity that every single human being have full health care in this country, in the world, frankly. And that let's tack on to that. We are not facing a situation, there are some places where it's like, literally, because of structural economic conditions, the money ain't there. What are we going to do with what little we have? That is not the case in the United States, even remotely. And it's exemplified every single day by the fact that we can have military missions on simultaneous continents. We can get involved in endless foreign conflicts. And, of course, we can endlessly give money away to functionally, I'm not even making a moral judgment, functionally, in terms of contribution, some of the most useless sectors and people in this country. But that's it. And look, if you want to be, Chris Cuomo obviously is, he's not supposed to go into sort of a contra mode. But if there was somebody else on that split screen, if it was a triple screen and some right wingers there, good luck being shouting in the corner, oh, it's a pipe dream, the numbers will never add up. Good luck either being the numbers nerd, or if you really want to actually go out there and say what the Koch brothers really think, which is you should die and starve and suffer unless you're ultra wealthy. Good luck. Go for it.
Ben Shapiro officially challenged AOC like she has time running for Congress.
Yeah, AOC
to
doesn't
boost
have,
his profile.
Yeah, she doesn't have time to give you some numbers juice, you little prick. And that's also a perfect example. Look, if you get, maybe he will warp her and get her onto his weird little chessboard that doesn't matter. And inside the confines of a debate that doesn't matter, that has no stakes in real people's lives, that is all just fucking baseball card collecting, he can win by any moral, policy, strategy, metric that took the world into account. AOC would fucking own Ben Shapiro with morals and ethics, facts and logic, poise and style, and voice.
Just general likability.
And general likability. And general superior humanhood. Please. And no, but that would be Ben Shapiro. He'd be in this this is a really nice story, but my wife's a doctor. It's all nonsense. It doesn't matter. Just because somebody can string together a sort of logically seeming progression and attach numbers to it does not mean that they're making a coherent argument. And by the way, look more for coherence than logic. Logic is part of coherence, okay? Logic in and of itself could quite lead. You could logically argue anything. It's not an innate value. Brendan, what?
No, I'm just thinking about people whose intellectual inquiry ends at logic and stupid.
Why they suck.
Well, it's also Ben Shapiro, with this reputation of facts and logic, is just fucking ludicrous. Have the guy talk about climate change. Look at the Daily Wire talk about climate change. The top article is years ago they were worried about global cooling. He's a fucking idiot, but he talks fast. And
right.
Yeah, and he's better at staying in the lines of he's not perfect, but keeping a plausible deniability about certain things the real things that appeal to his audience.
Right. Palestinians like to live in sewers and bomb stuff. He doesn't say stuff like that. Oh, wait.
Wouldn't you love to be in the room for the conversation where Sam Harris is Ben, why did you say that? You can't say those things explicitly.
what you have to do is indirectly imply that they should all be nuked, but say that it's speculative, and then say it would be terrible, but maybe it should happen. What you have to do is say 5 different things at once and have plausible deniability to the point of saying absolutely nothing.
You need to find a bit of scripture that you can misinterpret and then uphold, and then you have justification.
And then you have justification for a thought experiment, which could indirectly give interference towards stacking people into naked pyramids in Guantanamo. But the point is that actually what's happening in Guantanamo is the last thing that you want to be talking about when you're talking about torture. And I would recommend, like, what AOC should definitely not debate Ben Shapiro.
Absolutely not.
Waste of everybody's time except for his.
Yeah, if Shapiro wants, like, I don't know, some middling DSA person, sure, but like AOC's got big fish to fry, buddy.
Yeah.
You've got another year or two until you're completely toxic, which is already happening.
Exactly.
What was it, Rappaport or who was it that
Michael Rappaport had like a reversal.
said
on
one
him.
tweet and then like after 30 minutes, like, actually this pig is disgusting.
Yeah,
or whatever he said.
actually, that guy's an asshole. Fuck that guy.
Ben Shapiro's toxic. The IDW's toxic. They don't have long. Yeah.
Just
Time's ticking,
the only
boys.
thing that's important about them in the next couple of months is going to be my book. And then the other thing is yeah, I mean, and also like, and if you do debate Ben Shapiro, ask him about his name in that Canadian guy's Twitter searches. Yes. That's what I'm curious about.
Climate change and incel terrorism.
Precisely. I think that guy was actually anti-Muslim terrorism, but I'm sure it could be just as easily. It's pathetic. And also, and frankly, look, I won't reduce this to like a plug for us, but also like, if AOC is going to start playing in like the YouTube alternative media environment, then it's really important that this new crop of politicians and shows like this and, you know, everywhere else. I know she's done TYT, but like, and that's great. She needs to keep, you know, building and supporting those bridges, and actually building an
Gramscian hegemony.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. Building those ecosystems versus having some like one-off feud with some person who should really just have been a novelty act of the Bush era, but because we live in a really fucked up place, is somehow still known.